Well, welcome back to the art book tour. Today we're going to be checking out some more books that I have in the collection. If you haven't seen yesterday's video, you might want to check that one out first, as there's some pretty cool books in there that you're going to want to see. But without further ado, let's jump into today's art books.
This book I actually found at a thrift store, and this is The Art of 3D Computer Animation and Effects. And I love this book so much because I'm super nerdy about computer animation and its history, and it's just something that I work in a lot. And this is a really cool, it's several things. It's a history of computer graphics, and then it gives you several examples of uses of it in the film industry and in games, like really specific uses, like Spyro the Dragon, and it'll bring up like short films and stuff, some that I didn't even hear of before. And then it also goes into, it's not a how-to book by any means, but it does go into techniques like rendering, texturing, modeling, and pixel sizes for the images, and all kinds of stuff. There's some stuff about lighting. So it gives you a bunch of info on the history of computer animation, and also just visual effects that are done with the computer in general. Here you can see some textures from a video game, and even some stuff here about animation, like the principles of animation itself. So what a find. I mean, I just randomly found this at a thrift store, but it's such a great book. Never underestimate what you would find at a thrift store. This is The Secret Art of Ted Geisel. Well, you might not recognize the name Ted Geisel. You probably know him as Dr. Seuss. And this book I bought after I watched a video by Solar Sands, which talked about what Dr. Seuss called the Midnight Paintings. It was artwork that he made throughout his life that he never publicly published anywhere, and it's really intriguing. He is able to explore different themes and ideas that you would not see in the children's books, and it is some really great art. Seeing Dr. Seuss's style and these characters with these dark backdrops and settings is really intriguing. These were some sculptures that he made when he was younger. I believe it was his father that would bring home horns from different animals that he found in the woods, and Ted Geisel would then put them together and make up some crazy creature that doesn't even exist, and they're really fun. And this is Joseph Katz and his coat of many colors. There's all kinds of fun little things in here, and these are just gorgeous ones. This one set over the ocean is just beautiful. Lots of unique art that you probably have never even seen before from Dr. Seuss, and it's just cool, again, to see him explore different themes that he never got to in the children's books. Next we have some art books from movies. This is the art of Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Now, this is a DreamWorks film that I feel like a lot of people kind of forget about, but I always thought it was just a charming, fun movie, and this is a great example to me of when you get an art book like this. I think sometimes we forget how much love and passion goes into an animated film. I mean, look at this. Just little screenshots from all throughout the movie. And again, lots of cool information in here as well, and how they sort of transfer the designs of the characters from the Rocky and Bullwinkle show over to a more modern 3D look, which is not easy. It's not easy to take a two-dimensional character that has a very distinctive style and translate that to 3D. It can be tricky. But yeah, if you're a fan of the film, there's some really cool stuff in here. Next up, we've got The Art of Zootopia, one of my favorite Disney movies, a movie that really had a big impact on me. And what's really cool about Zootopia is that they had a bunch of ideas, and the story was very different originally, so they practically had a whole nother movie before it became what it is today. And this book shows you a lot of that, and again, just the amount of detail, particularly with the city itself of Zootopia. So much work and study and research went into bringing this world to life, and it's just like, I would love to explore more of Zootopia. And here you got like the actual character designs too. original sketches and concepts. I think they went on a trip to Africa when they were making this movie to study a bunch of animals and really nail down. I know they spent a long time on the fur technology and figuring out how to clothe the animals. And here's the section about wild times, which is one of the early concepts that they had that I thought was really interesting, where Nick opens up this kind of underground predators playground for the animals, and they got some cool like designs here for different roller coasters and games and stuff they would have played. And there's some posters at the back. Kind of reminds me of the old Disneyland posters. Next up, another book I got recently from my parents, The Art of the Pixar Short Films. As I already said, I just love the history of computer graphics, so obviously the Pixar short films and Pixar's history is something that I'm really a big fan of. This goes through a lot of their short films, I think all the way up to, up to Lifted in 2007. It actually corresponds with the short film collection DVD that I'm sure a lot of us saw when we were kids. And I love that, again, I love the stuff that you don't typically see, the sketches and the models and stuff from the early ones like Red's Dream or Tin Toy. There's that really creepy baby from Tin Toy. And then up to some more modern stuff too, and just really great Pixar stuff. And look at these big screenshots from the films. Next up is BoJack Horseman, The Art Before the Horse. This is also, I think, a newer book. I hadn't seen it around before, but when I saw it, I knew, whoa, I'm going to get this book, because BoJack was another series that I got a lot of artistic inspiration from, and I just love this back cover art. And this is what got me intrigued in the series again, because I'd paused from watching it for a while, and reading the history of the show and why they even made it in the first place, I thought was really intriguing, and it made me put down the book and start watching the show again. Really unique art in here. I love how it looks like there's some crayons used there, just something so simple but creates a really neat texture. All kinds of concepts for the characters, and again, some screenshots from the actual show. It's such a deep story to tell with animation, and what fascinating characters to explore. The next book I'm about to show you is the tiniest book in the collection. This is the concept art of Ralph McQuarrie from the Star Wars series, and Ralph McQuarrie really defined so much of what Star Wars looks like. You can see that early concept art of Vader. And there's a great one in here somewhere of, let's see if we can find the original art. Right here it is, right in the beginning, of C-3PO. It goes through the different episodes. So you got A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. It's such a tiny little book, but it's got all kinds of cool Star Wars related art. So that's a fun one, and probably the cheapest way actually to get some of this art too. Now this is another one that's not really an art book, but it's got a lot of art in it. And this is something that my grandparents got for me. This is the Walt Disney Film Archives. And this goes over all of the animated films from 1921 to 1968. We've got a chart here featuring some of the dwarves from Snow White. Bunch of Disney history, and I love that it shows the original posters and gives you all kinds of information about, like, these are the silly symphonies, and it shows you each of them. And then you got the films like Pinocchio here, the release year, who was involved with it, the synopsis of the film, and then of course you get art and original drawings, original frames, and photographs from back then. Really neat, and just tons of history in here. Bambi, there's Lady and the Tramp, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, all kinds of classic Disney films. And I think this was released for the 50th anniversary of the archives, I believe it was. But yeah, this is like a great, if you love Disney history, this is a very extensive look at those films. Most of it that Walt Disney himself was a direct part of, so really fun book. And finally, one more art book that I want to show you guys is an art book of my very own. This is a recent one that my parents got me for my birthday, and this is mostly a collection of the art that I've done in the past year. And a lot of this art you can actually find on my Tumblr page. I begin with some old childhood drawings and some old projects that I worked on in the past, and then we catch up to stuff that I've done most recently. And here's a little section on Grimsby with some screenshots and sketches that I did for that film. And here's just some fun art that I've made that I'm really proud of, and it's really special seeing it printed in a book like this. And this is a bunch of kooky sketches that I have fun making and renders, and this was even a acrylic painting that I did not too long ago. And we end here with, oh, the sale's off. Stay tuned for more information about that. We're going to be diving into that project coming up in the future. And there's even some more art on the back of the book.
And that's all of the art books that I have in the collection as of right now. And I love collecting all kinds of different ones, whether it's for games or movies or particular artists, and taking a look at them from time to time, both to just flip through and look at the art, but also to read the fascinating stories behind the creation of these things, because so often I feel we take things at surface level. So I like to dig deeper and see not just what it is, but why. Why was this thing created, and who made it, and when? And those books are really great sources of both information and inspiration. Thank you so much for watching this video, and stay tuned because we have a great viewer request to go back and take a look at some of the skyboxes from Super Mario Galaxy 2 that's coming up this week as well. But until then, I will see you all in the next video.